Hello, dear Ioana. Thank you very much for having the time to talk to me today. Um, and the reason why we're having this discussion is because very few days ago you have submitted your B Impact Assessment as
Yeah.
part of your B Corp process for your company. And we are both really excited about this. It was a joint effort. But today I want to hear from you. How was the process and how did you feel in making this impact assessment? So let me first start by asking you a little bit about yourself and what is Impactus Group and what is your business model?
Thank you, Corina. And yes, absolutely. Super excited that finally I pressed, we pressed together the submit button. A little bit about me and Impactus Group. My background is in marketing, corporate marketing. So I build brands initially locally, then regionally and globally in large multinationals. A few years ago, I decided to put my marketing knowledge, let's say, to good use. So I decided to help entrepreneurs that solve environmental and social solutions to scale them. There are quite a few solutions that solve environmental and social challenges, but the entrepreneurs don't necessarily have the marketing or sales knowledge to scale them. So it's sometimes it hurts to see that they stay small and they can't scale this solution. So this is what Impactus Group does through programs and coaching. Me and my team are really helping them to really increase awareness, to make sure that they have an understanding of how to reach out to their customers and really grow the business and therefore their positive impact. So so that's what Impactus Group does.
It sounds amazing, and definitely I understand what you're saying because I'm one of the entrepreneurs who really, really struggles to scale the business. So I really feel all these challenges that you're helping them solve. Let me ask you, why did you thought about the B Corp certification for Impactus Group? Did you had any reasons for making this decision?
That's such a great question. Yes. So I had impact at the core of Impactus Group. I mean, it's called Impactus Group. So clearly impact was at the very core when I started the business. However, I just felt that everything is just in my head. I had no structure in the way I was let's say, setting the goals or creating the impact. I wanted to do so many things and I was just spreading myself in so many directions. So I was really looking for a framework to help me first identify the good things that I'm already doing, because I knew that I'm already doing good things, but then also the gaps, or let's say the opportunities that I have to improve, and generally just to structure my efforts. So instead of just creating impact generally, to really be very focused on the things that I care about and the things that I want to see change in the world. So yes, so that's how I came across B Corp, and I thought, okay, this is something that I think can help me. So that was the why behind it. Yeah,
It's definitely a lot that B Corp can help companies such as yours and other companies to measure and to see how their impact is growing, and also look to areas that maybe they didn't explore before. Like you, maybe in
absolutely.
this journey, you discovered something new that you could do as a service or help people that you've never helped before. So this B Impact Assessment looks like a journey, and
Yes, it is.
I'm sure that it was a good journey for you as well. So I'm interested to know from you what were things that you liked in this journey. What were things that came easy to you, and what were maybe things that were less easy, a little bit more difficult, but still you managed to go through them.
Okay, yes, it's a journey. So I have to start by saying that it took me a year to actually jump in, because I heard quite a few people around saying, oh, it takes a lot of time, it's difficult, it's complex. So I was kind of, okay, I'm not going to have the time to do it. And I'm actually really sorry that I pushed it for a year. I should have really started earlier. So yes, it is a journey. It requires time, but actually if it's done in a structured way, it's a really, really nice, I call it awareness journey, and putting my impact ducks in a row. So that's actually what happens to me.
Yeah, amazing.
So, and yes, it is work, but I find that is meaningful work, because meaningful in the sense that it really shows me what I should be focusing on, what I should be doing. So it's not just kind of doing everything and anything and not having direction. So for me, that was really kind of strategic work, if anything. So it really put Impactors Group on a very clear direction for the next years. Now, what I found easy? I mean, I found easy working with you, to be honest. You really guided me through this process, and I honestly believe that it added so much value, because first of all, I remember our first session. So again, I came in after a year thinking, oh my God, this is going to be so overwhelming. But in 1 hour, you managed to clarify for me the process, what are the steps and how long it's going to take, and being very realistic and how things are going to happen. So I think that really put my mind at rest to begin with. So I started the journey being actually enthusiastic as opposed to being overwhelmed. So it's like, okay, so at least I know what's ahead and what I'm going to expect. Then I think that what I found helpful was to break down the journey. So for example, there are 4 areas of impact. So I started with the one that really resonated with me and I felt more comfortable. So I would say always start with something that's easy or maybe short, because some are shorter than the others in terms of questions, some areas. And the other thing that also was very, very helpful, and maybe we'll come back to this later on and detail, because I think this is really important, is there are so many things that you uncover along the journey. And if you are somebody like me who just wants to maximize the impact, you just want to do so many things, and you might get very easily overwhelmed by so many things that you can do. And, you know, there's so much time that you can have. So I have your voice in my head always saying, start with small things, and move from there. And that's what happened during the journey, kind of uncovering things that I'm already doing. So I was discovering things that I was doing, and I said, oh, okay, so I'm actually doing this already. But also things that I could do in the future, and making a list of them. And then, okay, I can't do all of them now, but I will start with something small I can implement immediately, and then move from there. So so there's much to talk about the journey, but this is in a nutshell. I finish as you know, in about 4 months, and my approach was really take one area at a time, go through the question, answer as much as I could, and then go again and put more details.
Exactly.
And I took about 1 hour every week. So that's how I moved on. So it didn't take so much time, but yeah.
It is intensive.
It is. I mean, it's intensive in the sense that you have to think through things. So it's not the kind of questionnaire that you just tick boxes. So, for example, when it comes to customers, there are questions around the how you assess satisfaction or the outcome. And yes, of course, you can just kind of tick boxes and move forward. But I actually took the time and thought about how can I actually better assess the satisfaction of my customers? How can I improve my solutions to make sure that there is a bigger impact for them and also a bigger impact for their clients? So yes, you kind of take the time, but again, this is strategic thinking, I find. It's not just a ticking boxes exercise. So it really helped me implement things that I believe are going to really grow my own business, financially and in terms of impact. So yeah, I hope I answered the question, because there were lots of little questions in your question. So I hope I covered all of them.
Absolutely. And I also learned about your strategy because, yes, when you do the B Impact assessment, having almost 200 questions that you go through and having more options to answer to one question, then you have to have a strategy. You can't focus on everything at the same time. So I think that the way how you manage your strategy, it really was fitting to maybe also to your business and also to the way that you found yourself closer to customers, for example, to environment, and then you left the other parts of your business, like other impact areas at the end, because you felt more sure about them. And because this is quite interesting, you know, having so many areas of impact where you can measure, you can first see your impact and then can measure it, and I guess after that you get ideas. Okay, how could I expand this impact? I'm wondering, what was your biggest, what was the area where you had your biggest score, and why? Can you share this with me, please?
Okay, so that's a really interesting one. So first of all, what I found interesting with the assessment, because my idea of the assessment was that, okay, it's just a list of questions and you just go through the questions, and the questions are always the same. And it's like, no, the questions are not always the same for everybody. So depending on how you answer, other questions are unlocked, which I found really actually interesting and helpful. So they kind of tailor to your situation. Again, I'm a small business, so you know, the questions were relevant to me, not to, let's say, multinationals. So I couldn't have been able to answer something like that. But coming back to your question, so the biggest score I actually got in community, following closely by customers. So it was very interesting. There were quite lots of questions, so I think I unlocked lots of questions. So I think that contributed to the fact that my score went up. But interestingly, I always thought that I will score higher in the customer because I put so much effort in customer, and I didn't. And this is very interesting again on how the assessment helps you identify things that you could do, you're already doing. I realized that I'm doing already so much when it comes to the community, things that I have not realized. So, for example, being very aware of my supply chain, if you like, so who I'm working with, and scanning them. Not always super formal, but I have some criteria in place. Then really having a voice at the local level, and volunteering a lot. I volunteer a lot, so that also put my score up. But that's something, again, that was a huge learning for me, because I volunteered a lot, but I did not have any goal. I did not have any target. I did not have any structure. So through the assessment and through the questions that I came across, it really helped me think this through. So from now on, for example, I'm way more focused, way more structured in the way I dedicate my free time, who I dedicate my free time, what causes and how, and very clear goals. So it makes me feel much better about myself. And generally, I see the progress or the impact that I create. So these are the kind of things that I think really pushed my score up. And so it's really thinking about the people, the community that I belong to. And in my case, because my business is global, so I work across Europe and both Americas. It's a large community.
It's a lot. It's a big one. It's
I know.
a big
I mean,
community
in
of
the end, our
impactors.
Earth is our home, so it's our community. So yes, a lot of impactors. It's true.
A
They're
lot of
everywhere.
impactors.
They're everywhere, and that's great to see. Yeah.
Yeah. So it definitely looks like a lot of work and dedication, even when, you know, we went together through this journey, but the big effort was yours because you had to think how to take this impact assessment that is relevant and true for impactors group. So now that you went through all these impact areas and you finally pushed the submit button, what do you think could be good advices from you for other entrepreneurs that would like you to have a look, to try it, but are not sure yet if their company fits or if they are ready to do the work?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I honestly believe that they need to take a first, I don't know, a kickoff, a discovery or something session just to understand how the process works, and not to base themselves on generally what they hear from the market, which was again my experience. I was hearing all these things and getting scared, and you know, and in the end, you know, I found my way. So I really believe that the first thing is to have a discovery session and have a roadmap on how they're going to do. The other one is have very clear why they want to do this, because it is a lot of work and it is patience, but it's very rewarding too. But I would say that if the why is not clear, it's very easy then along the way to say, oh, I don't have the time. Oh, I don't want to do this. Like, why am I even doing this? So I had a very strong why, and that's what really kept me going. And I was very determined. I said, even if I don't get the certification, I really want to go through this to really structure
Oh,
my
really? Okay.
So yeah, absolutely. And by the way, I talk about the assessment to everybody who's interested to hear it. And I always say, well, listen, you don't have to go for the certification. You don't have to, you know, do a big thing, but only if you go through the assessment, which is free, is available, it helps so much because, as you know, in any strategic thinking session, if you ask the right questions, it really helps you move forward. So I find that the assessment is what it does. It really asks some really good questions that help you in the end understand where you are making an impact, where you could be making more impact, and generally how you can structure your business and bring small improvements. So this will be my two very big advices. The other one is to really be patient and give it time, and not to get frustrated along the way. Just take one thing at a time, and implement small things at a time, and get there. Yeah, which was basically your advice too. Like, don't shoot for the stars from the very first thing. Just start small, build from there. And I think that's a really good advice, and it really has helped me through the whole journey. Absolutely. And when I look back, I implemented so many things, and I've done so many things with this, just do small things at a time.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that this part of discovering and implementing new things, it's something that comes out of the impact assessment. So maybe just one example of a thing that you have implemented after or during this BIA work. What is it?
Oh my goodness, I have so many of them.
Really?
Yes, I do actually have so many. So I think that the biggest that came out for me was to have very specific goals generally. So impact goals or targets, then volunteering targets, in terms of outcome targets from my clients. So everything related to goals, targets. And again, I implemented simple things. So there were some very specific targets, for example, reducing environmental impact that maybe I couldn't set up. So, it's not that I implemented everything that I have on my list. Then I implemented a lot around customers, so feedback forms that will help me improve my solutions. Again, my solutions are the ones that create impact, not just for my customers, but really, again, solve social environmental challenges. So it creates further impact. And then I put some policies in place. And to begin with, for me, policies was this like, oh my God, this is so overwhelming. But in the end, and with your help and with the examples, it's like, no, it's not at all. It's just being very clear, like what do you accept, what you don't accept, and how things are. So yeah, and that was very, very helpful for me.
Yeah,
And
I think that
data protection, which because all my programs are online, so many things, and yeah, simple things, but they make a huge difference. Totally.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I do believe that after this, all these things that you've implemented and also the things that you've seen that needed more impact, maybe your business impactors group, it's even stronger, it's even bigger,
Yes,
it's more prepared for the future, right? And
absolutely.
that's important. That's
Well,
important.
it's absolutely. I mean, it helped me pay more attention to everything I do. So pay attention to the people I hire. So my team, how I select my team, then how I deal with my customers, being ethical in everything I do, having the kind of policies, contracts, having those, feedback forms and generally feedback loops to make sure that they are happy and they create the impact that they want to do. And then again, with my community, my immediate local community, all the counselors here, all the volunteering work. So everything really has is way more structure, and it helps me focus on things, focus on the right things, having the right people around, having the right suppliers around, and and it really sends a very good vibe outside, really. So it's interesting how it really cascades.
Yeah, yeah. I think I can see even in the words that you're saying right now that you're more confident in the impact that you're creating, and also
Yes.
this impact is due to the surrounding environment, the people you work and collaborate with, and not only your customers and providers. So thank you very much, Ioana. I think that
Absolutely.
many
My
companies
pleasure.
would follow your advice to become stronger, to become more impactful, and to have a grip on what they're doing and what they want to implement for the future. Thanks again for your
Absolutely.
time. And
Thank you too,
I'm
Corina.
looking forward to get the B Corp certification really soon. Looking
We'll be
forward to
back
that.
with the final result. Absolutely.